Charles of Orleans was a French duke, poet, and grandson of King Charles V. In 1315, during the Hundred Years' War, at the age of 21, he was captured by the English, after the defeat of a French army at Agincourt. As a prince by blood, he was considered a valuable political prisoner. This is why he spent the next 25 years of his life in captivity in England. In France, Charles left behind his wife, born Armagnac. Their marriage had been arranged, but it seems that they truly had warm and caring feelings for each other. While he was imprisoned in the Tower of London, Charles wrote a tender poem letter to his wife. In the poem, he called his beloved his Valentine. "I'm already tired of love, my very gentle Valentine." Sadly, after Charles was captured, the couple never saw each other again. His wife died before he was released. However, Charles's letter to Bon Armagnac went down in history as the earliest known Valentine's card.
Wake up, Africa! It's Valentine's Day! Happy Valentine's Day to you, and happy Valentine's Day to you, and you.
First, let us understand what exactly we celebrate on February 14. The holiday is based on Saint Valentine, a Christian martyr who lived in the Roman Empire. The most popular legend says that Roman Emperor Claudius II prohibited official marriages, believing that unmarried men would better for the empire. Bishop Valentine continued to secretly marry young couples, despite the emperor's law. When he was caught, he was sentenced to death and beheaded on February 14 of 269. According to another version, while he was in prison, he fell in love with a blind woman. Before his execution, he wrote her a letter signed "Your Valentine," and supposedly this is where the tradition of giving valentines came from. These are beautiful and popular legends, but in fact they have no confirmed historical evidences. The real story of Valentine had nothing to do with love or romance. There might even have been several different saints named Valentine. Historical records mention Valentine of Rome, a priest from Rome, and also Valentine of Terni, the bishop of the city of Terni in Italy. Both lived in the 3rd century, were arrested, and were executed. Almost nothing is known about their lives, and it's impossible to say for sure whether they were two different people or these are different references to the same person. What we do know for certain is that in the 1st century there was indeed a Christian martyr named Valentine in Rome. He was executed for his Christian faith. Later he was canonized, and the day of his death, 13 February, became a day of remembrance. The legends about love and about Valentine as a patron of flowers appeared much later, during the Middle Ages. Before that, February 14 was simply a day to honor a martyr. However, in the 13th century, Saint Valentine became one of the most popular saints in England. At that time, thanks to the English poet Geoffrey Chaucer, February 14 began to be associated with love and romance. In the Middle Ages, people believed that birds started to form pairs in middle of February. In his poem The Parliament of Owls, Geoffrey Chaucer connected this idea with Saint Valentine's Day. It was on Saint Valentine's Day when every bird came there to choose his mate. Chaucer was the first to connect the day of honoring the saint with the loving mood of birds. In his poem, the idea appeared for the first time that Saint Valentine's Day was not just a religious feast, but a special day for all lovers. It was from this romantic poem that the history of Valentine's Day as a celebration of love truly began. By the 16th century, Saint Valentine's Day had become an established part of English tradition. It was often shown in art specifically as a day of love. In William Shakespeare's tragedy Hamlet, Saint Valentine's Day is mentioned in Ophelia's song. She refers to a superstition. If two single people meet early in the morning on Saint Valentine's Day, they will surely get married. During this time, it became popular to give flowers on this day, and, like Charles of Orleans, to write love notes, the first Valentines. Exchanging Valentines between lovers became a common practice. Every young British man wanted to congratulate his beloved with a beautiful poem. But of course not everyone had the talent of a poet. For those who couldn't write their own verses, British publishers released The Young Man's Valentine Writer in 1797. It contained sentimental rhymes and poems what young men could give to girls and present as their own. Despite the high cost of postal services, in 1835, as many as 60,000 Valentines were sent by mail in the United Kingdom. However, not all Valentines were meant to celebrate love. In Victorian England, so-called Vinegar Valentines became popular, a Valentines with a satirical and often cruel tone. These were cheap cards with insulting poems and caricatures, often showing politicians or public officials. They parodied traditional Valentine's Day cards. Their content ranged from harmless jokes to open aggression and cruelty. I send you this heart to remind you you don't have one. I love you as much as a parliament loves the people. Cupid must be blind if he thought you deserved love. Such cards were sent to friends, unwanted suitors, disliked relatives, and even enemies. They were often sent anonymously, with the receiver paying for the delivery. Yes, trolling already existed in the 19th century. Some of these valentines were confiscated by postal workers, because their content was considered vulgar. They often caused arguments and even court cases. Due to the large number of complaints, this practice began to be limited, and had almost completely disappeared by the end of the 19th century. Traditional valentines from the late 18th to the early 19th century were richly decorated. They were decorated with lace, embossing, flowers, symbols of true love, cupids, and elegant patterns. Sometimes the cards were even perfumed. In 2019, the oldest surviving Valentine from that period was sold at an auction. The card, about 230 years old, was sold for £6,000. Although the paper is damaged and torn in some places, the handwritten message is still clearly visible. Life, we say, is but a span. Let's be happy while we can. Oh, my dear sweet Valentine. This beautiful declaration of love was sent to a woman named Anne at Hartwell House in Buckinghamshire more than 2 centuries ago. Anne and the sender are long gone, but the love message is still alive. In the 19th century, Valentine's Day became fully commercialized. In Victorian England, industrialization and fast technological progress, especially in printing, made cards affordable and cheap to produce. This led to a real boom in Valentine's cards. Every year, people in Britain alone sent about 200,000 Valentines to each other. The holiday had already spread throughout the English-speaking world, including the United States. American artist Esther Holland is considered the person who started the commercial history of Valentines in the United States. Inspired by the detailed and decorative cards made in England, she began creating her own Valentines and led their mass production in America. In 1837, Esther earned about $5,000 by selling Valentine's cards. In the following years, her business started making around $100,000 a year, which is equal to about $4 million today. After noticing the success of Eastern Holland's Valentines, in 1868 the British chocolate company Cadbury introduced the fancy boxes, decorative heart-shaped boxes of chocolates, created especially for Saint Valentine's Day. The idea belonged to Richard Cadbury, the son of the company's founder. He wanted to attract customers and promote chocolate as a perfect Valentine's gift. This marketing idea was very successful, and since then, besides a Valentine's card, a heart-shaped box of chocolates has also become a traditional gift for February 14. Let us briefly return to the historical figure of Saint Valentine of Rome from the 1st century. Today he is presented to the public in Madrid, not symbolically, but quite literally, in the form of bones. The relics of Saint Valentine are kept in the church of San Anton in Madrid. Inside the church there is a reliquary, what contains bone remains attributed to Saint Valentine, including his skull. These relics were a gift from the Pope to King Charles IV of Spain in the 7th century. A few years ago, a model of what Saint Valentine may have looked like before his execution was created based on this skull. His remains were digitally scanned, and his face was reconstructed. Of course, today no one can say for certain whether these are really the remains of Saint Valentine himself, especially since we know very little about him. In 20th century, the Catholic Church even removed Saint Valentine's Day from the general Roman calendar because there was too little reliable information about his life. Besides hearts and chocolate boxes, Cupid is also one of the most famous symbols of Valentine's Day. We often see images of playful little angel with a bow and arrows on Valentine's cards. What does he have to do with Saint Valentine? Actually, nothing at all. Cupid is the Roman god of love, the equivalent of the Greek god Eros. He is one of the most common romantic symbols in Western culture. Depictions of Cupid became especially popular during the Renaissance. However, he has no historical or mythological connection to Saint Valentine. When Valentine's cards became popular in the 18th century, the image of Cupid simply fit perfectly into the visual style of the holiday. So there is no direct connection between Cupid and Saint Valentine. By the way, there is another theory about the origin of Valentine's Day. It's somewhat doubtful, but it still exists. In ancient Rome, on February 15, people celebrated Lupercalia, a pagan festival of fertility, in honor of the god Lupercus, who is more widely known as Faunus. During the Lupercalia celebrations, priests sacrificed goats. Then they stripped naked and ran through the city, whipping women they encountered with bloody pieces of skin from the sacrificed goats. The women didn't dodge or avoid this, but on the contrary, they offered their hands and bodies, passionately desiring to be beaten with the animal skins. It was believed that this ritual increased their fertility and helped them have easier childbirth. Quite an unusual holiday, but what else you could expect from a pagan ritual?
Watered.
Oh, that is disgusting! Oh, King Julian! Ah.
Some historians in the past believed that Valentine's Day was a Christianized version of Lupercalia. However, nowadays most scholars reject this idea. Today, Valentine's Day is celebrated in almost every country in the world. In the United States alone, around 190 million Valentine's cards are sent each year. Worldwide, the number is estimated to be close to 1 billion. At the same time, people in Singapore, China, and South Korea spend the most money on Valentine's Day gifts. According to research, Singaporeans spend the most. 60% say they plan to spend between $100 and $500 on the celebration. In most countries, the holiday is celebrated in a similar way. People exchange valentines, give flowers, and buy chocolate. However, some countries have their own unique traditions. In Japan and South Korea, on February 14, only women give gifts. In Japan, women mainly give chocolate, not only to their partners but also to male colleagues. Then, on March 13, known as a White Day, men give gifts in return. In South Korea, April 14 is also celebrated as a Black Day, an anti-Valentine's Day for single people. On this day, single men and women eat black noodles and talk about their single life. However, in reality, this is more of a marketing idea than a traditional holiday. In Brazil, Flowers Day is celebrated on June 12. Valentine's Day on February 14 is not celebrated, because it usually falls too close to the Brazilian Carnival, which can last almost a week. In Saudi Arabia, however, Valentine's Day is not celebrated at all. It's officially banned here. Valentine's Day has become one important part of pop culture. Many songs are dedicated to it.
My funny Valentine.
Today was a fairy tale, you were the prince.
It appears in different kinds of movies, from romantic comedies to slasher horror films. Valentine's Day is often criticized because of its commercialization, forced romantic expectations, and the pressure it can create for single people. In 2016, Catholic bishops in England even introduced a special prayer to support single people who are looking for a husband or wife before Valentine's Day. For me, Valentine's Day has always been a little special, simply because I also celebrate my birthday on that day. If you don't like the holiday of flowers, you can always celebrate something else on February 14. There is an unofficial holiday called Valentine's Day, a day dedicated to friendship and all forms of platonic love. February 14 is also International Book Giving Day, which is a great reason to buy yourself a new book as a gift. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that now you like Valentine's Day a little bit more. Subscribe to our channel to see more interesting historical videos, and see you next time!